What is up, everybody? I'm George Mossey. I'm here with my co-host David. So last night, Unexpected season 5, we're 4 episodes in, has aired. There's a lot to talk about. All the couples were featured, so we have a lot to catch up on. So I kind of want to catch up with Tyra and Tiara real quick. So Tiara is the one who has been traveling from Maryland to Kentucky for her doctor's appointments. I think it's kind of insane jumping on a plane every time. But the good news is her daughter found her social security card, so she does feel like she's ready to transition her insurance to Maryland, and she's looking for a doctor for her C-section. But the issue is she's 32 weeks pregnant. You think that's enough time for her to find a doctor and schedule a C-section in that short amount of time, or do you think she's going to have to give birth in Kentucky?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not really familiar with the whole giving birth aspect of life. So based on trying to find like an ENT, it could be, but she's cutting it real close.
Well, right. A lot of people like to kind of meet the doctor and kind of feel them out and get to know them personally, like, and feel comfortable with them. She doesn't really have time to do that. She's going to have to probably find the first doctor that can schedule it because you
Yeah.
have to be able to schedule it. Good doctors are scheduled and booked up.
Yeah.
So if they can even make it work, it doesn't really matter who they are. She's just going to have to take that doctor. So
Mhm.
hopefully she'll be able to do that. But secretly, her mom would love for her to have the baby in Kentucky so her mom could be there. So this might all work out and everybody will be fine. We'll have to see what happens from there. So let's talk about Mason and Emerson. So at
Mhm.
38 weeks pregnant, she takes Mason to a birthing class, which is
Mhm.
outside. I think this is very important, especially for men, to get familiar with the process of giving birth because we've watched Jason and Kylan, and a lot of men are very unfamiliar with the process. And I think this is really important. And she showed the dilation
Mhm.
table of the cervix, and he was really surprised. And he also was really surprised at the size of the baby. He thought that that doll was really big. And in actuality, babies are a little longer than that. So I'm
Mhm.
happy to see that he's taking the time to learn about the birthing process. But during that process, he did ask a very strange question. So Emerson told him that she had heard or read online that if the mother is not around, a man can lactate and breastfeed. And I like the look that the teacher gave because she was like, I don't even really know how to go about answering that.
Well, I mean, I've heard that whole theory before. I've heard people talk about it. I've heard people do stuff with it. I don't know if it's a real thing or if it's some sort of like weird internet
Yeah, those
focus.
things maybe like one of those urban myths, you know?
Yeah, I don't think it's like everyone's just sitting here just like untapped resources, but I do think that I've definitely heard things of like extreme situations, but it's like everybody's died off and this guy is like a yogi master and lives on a mountain and was able to breastfeed his grandchild or something. It was weird stuff like that. So,
It would be super interesting if it was true. I mean, I
mhm,
don't want to just say, "Oh, that's not true," because I don't know that, and
yeah.
like you said, it's a strange situation where there's literally no one else there. The baby has nowhere to feed, and so maybe this has happened in just like very rural areas, and it's not been documented. We don't
Mhm,
know that, so I don't want to say that Mason asked a stupid question because in actuality, there's no such thing as a stupid question. If you don't know
mhm.
the answer, it's a good question. And I feel like asking questions is super important, especially for new parents,
Yeah.
because guidebook. There's no book that says, oh, this is what's real, this is what isn't, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So asking questions is kind of a trial and error thing for them. So I'm hoping that they're able to get all the knowledge that they need beforehand.
And I will say it was nice to see one of the dads stepping up to ask questions and be involved and be willing to learn because as we see with some other of the dads, I'm not gonna say names Jason, there wasn't a whole lot of that.
Absolutely. I feel like this season there's a good mix of parents. I feel like
Mhm,
for the most part, they're very supportive of their kids. But let's talk about Jenna and Aiden. Speaking of parents, right? So
mhm,
Jenna has a ongoing issue with her dad Matt and her mom Heather. As we know, they hate each other. And
mhm,
I mean, I'm not even being exaggerative with this. They really hate each other, and being in the same place is very difficult. And she's even expressed how this has made her childhood difficult because she hasn't been able to have peace with both of her parents near her. And any child growing up should feel comfortable having both parents there, even if they're not together. I know I've watched some of the teen mom shows, and there's amazing co-parenting going on. So I really wish that they were able to do that. But I will say I can relate. Growing up, my parents hated each other more than they loved their kids. So it's a generational thing. It's for the older generation. It's more important to hate that person than it is to compromise for that child or the children that you have. And we saw that during the baptism. They wouldn't sit together. And Matt even said that he was mad because she didn't leave enough room on the row, and it was an entire row, right? Like it was an entire row.
There was that church was practically empty. There was like enough places to go sit somewhere.
It's definitely a situation of they just can't stand being around each other. And it was very evident. And I feel so bad for Jenna because this has been her whole life. You know, this isn't just her last 2 years, her last 5 years. This is her whole life dealing with two people who can't talk or even be around each other. And she even made the comment, she said, if her and Aiden broke up, she would never make it to where it's uncomfortable for them and their son to be around each other. And I respect her for that because at her age, that's super mature. That's super intelligent for her to know, and to know that it's more important for her son, Luca, to feel comfortable with his parents. And some people have longed their whole life just to have their parents in the same room. So happy that she's mature enough and she understands that's an important thing, because relationships sometimes don't work, but children are forever.
Yeah. And that's actually something that we see with some of these kids is you have to be able to understand that you're investing the next 18 to the rest of your life in these kids, and you've got to be there. And that is a really important thing, even if you can't stand their family.
Yes. That's a good thing too, bringing up families, because families are very difficult to get along with. You can love the person you're with and hate their family too. So that's important as well. And these kids are so young. But I do feel like this generation, like I said, has an advantage. They're very much more open-minded, and they get along with people even in situations where you feel like they shouldn't. You know, there's girls who dated the same guy, or there's girls who have had family issues, and they'll get along with the baby daddy if they share the same baby daddy. And like this generation is just doing such a better job of co-parenting and being mature. And I just definitely want to congratulate that. These younger kids are way more mature than our parents were. All right, guys, that's it for part one. We're going to come back for part two and talk about the rest of the couples. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you're live tweeting with me every Sunday night for Unexpected. It's after 90 Day Fiance, before the 90 days. I'm George Mossey. This is my co-host, David Baxter. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you guys really soon.